What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out a video by Let's Talk Politics. This one is titled, What the 2024 election would look like if Donald Trump were to be disqualified. Now, we've heard about the occurrence in Colorado, taking Donald Trump's name from the ballot. And Vivek Ramaswamy is saying he's going to, or has vowed to take his name out of the ballot if they don't restore Trump's name. But today we're going to be seeing how the election is going to look, the competition, who might win or who might not win. Let's get to it.
In this video, we're going to be taking a look at what the 2024 presidential election would look like if Donald Trump were to be disqualified by the U.S. Supreme Court. And this could ultimately happen if the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, does in fact disqualify Donald Trump from being on the ballot. Then he cannot run, and he won't be on the ballot, and people cannot vote for him. And obviously, if you guys did not see already, Colorado Supreme Court actually has voted, I believe, in a 4-3 decision to indeed disqualify Donald Trump from being on the Colorado's ballot. So obviously, that might or might not be the case. It depends how the United States Supreme Court takes that. But you already see some...
And depending on how the United States Supreme Court rules, a lot of other states are looking to do the same thing. California is looking. New Hampshire has been, speculatively, he's also looking to do the same thing. We don't know, but I'm hearing 12 other states, which is going to be bad for Trump.
Courts around the U.S. In some states, such as Colorado, like I just mentioned, who are already taking action to try to an attempt to disqualify Trump. So if the United States Supreme Court votes to do that decision, then Trump will not be president, or he will not even be the nominee for the Republicans in 2024. And if Donald Trump were to be disqualified, he would drop out of the Republican nomination. And basically, who would replace him? Would it be Nikki Haley? Would it be Ron DeSantis? Would it be Vivek Ramaswamy? It's going to be one of those three candidates I just mentioned if Donald Trump were to be disqualified, because
Vivek Ramaswamy has already dropped, said if Colorado does not put his name back, I'm not putting my name in the ballots in Colorado. So Vivek Ramaswamy is definitely out now.
He would have to drop out of the Republican race, which he is leading and is expected to be the nominee by a landslide. So, if Donald Trump were to be disqualified, he would drop out, and I think the candidate to replace him would be Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has been rising in the polls, which is the complete opposite of Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy. She is in second place in New Hampshire. Nikki Haley is in second place in New Hampshire besides Trump. So if Trump drops out or gets disqualified, which in order for him to drop out, he would have to get disqualified first, obviously, by the Supreme Court's decision, which Colorado Supreme Court, like I just mentioned, has already made that decision in 4-3 decision. I think it was 4-3 to, in fact, disqualify Trump. So that's already been made. So you already see some courts around the U.S. taking action already, but the U.S. Supreme Court has not made a decision to clarify that just yet. But some states' Supreme Courts have already taken action, like Colorado. So, with that being said, I think if Donald Trump were to be removed from this race, then I think the Trump supporters that voted for Trump in the primaries would either jump to DeSantis or Ramaswamy. They would avoid Nikki Haley. And I think the Trump supporters that voted for Trump, who, if he were to be disqualified, would split between DeSantis and Ramaswamy, which would have Haley winning. So, if if Trump gets disqualified, I think his supporters would switch over to either DeSantis or Ramaswamy, and I think they will split, which would lead to a Nikki Haley victory. I think if the Trump supporters were to split between Ramaswamy and DeSantis, it will open the door for Haley to win, because the Trump supporters will be divided among who they would choose, whether it's DeSantis or Ramaswamy. I think that.
But from the numbers, though, if they divide, they're still going to be a lot more than Nikki Haley. Because if you're saying Nikki Haley is at 10% and Trump is at 62%, so if they divide, unless I'm not understanding the math here, right? But if they divide at 62%, which means assuming half and half, 31% would go to DeSantis, 31 goes to Vivek Ramaswamy, they're still going to beat Nikki Haley at 10%. So how would Nikki Haley win? That's what I don't understand. Just asking. And from his points again, he's saying Trump supporters will not vote Nikki Haley, right? And Vivek Ramaswamy is out right now because he vowed he's going to take his name out of the box as well. Meaning 62% would go to DeSantis. That would be like saying DeSantis is going to win for sure.
Trump supporters will be very well divided, and that will cause Haley to end up being the nominee. That's my prediction. That is my prediction. I think they will be divided on Ramaswamy or DeSantis, leading to a Haley victory. So if Trump were to be disqualified, I think Haley will be the nominee. If not, probably Ron DeSantis. But I do think it will be Haley. So in this video, I think DeSantis. Be doing my 2024 presidential election prediction between Nikki Haley and Joe Biden on the Democratic side if Donald Trump were to be disqualified by the Supreme Court, which some Supreme Courts around the U.S. has already taken action to disqualify him. So they're already working on it. So if it ends up happening, I think we're going to be looking at a Haley versus Biden election, and I think this will be the outcome, and this is my prediction. So let's begin. Let's start off with the state of Texas. I think Nikki Haley will do pretty well in Texas. Obviously, Nikki Haley is a part of the establishment, and let's look at the national polls. Nikki Haley is in third place behind Trump and DeSantis. Obviously, Trump in first, but if he were to be disqualified, I think Nikki Haley would be the nominee. And Nikki Haley, as you can see, is at 11%. She's 1.1% behind DeSantis. DeSantis at 12%. Nikki Haley being at 11%. So, Nikki Haley is already about a tie with Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis has been losing support. Ramaswamy has not seen a gain at all. Ramaswamy had that little shift in favor of him, but then it declined and it decreased, and he's never seen a swing in Ramaswamy's favor ever since. So Nikki Haley, out of all these candidates up here left, Haley is pretty much the only one that is actually probably going to get second place. She is 1% behind DeSantis. So that's to get that out of the way. Starting off with Texas, I think Nikki Haley wins that by a likely margin. Democrats hoped they would make Texas somewhat competitive in 2020. That did not really happen. They thought they could flip it in the governorship in 2022 with their Beto O'Rourke candidate. That ended up exploding in their faces. And Democrats obviously hope again they could possibly flip the state in 2024. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think 2024 will be the year Democrats finally flip Texas. I don't think so. Maybe 2028, maybe 2032. But 2024 will not be the year Democrats do so. They will not flip Texas in 2024. It will not be their year, and I think Nikki Haley will be a strong candidate to win Texas for the Republicans in 2024. Likely margin around 7%. And
honestly, my opinion on this is, I feel like this is how I see DeSantis. DeSantis is a very strong candidate, but he's deciding to do poorly because he wants Trump to win. I feel like DeSantis doesn't really want to be president. He's just there for the regime, and he knows that Trump is going to win, or he knows within himself that he wants Trump to win. But if for any reason they disqualify Donald Trump, DeSantis is going to step up. That's what I think. Because I see the debates, I see the conversations and how he goes about things. He feels like, it looks like he's reluctant to step up. Like, I don't think he's in his full potential to contest. Which I know that when the time comes for him to be in his full potential, he's going to step up. So if for any reason Donald Trump is disqualified, I feel like we're going to see a different DeSantis. That's what I think. Just sharing my opinion. Let me know what you think about that.
And actually, polling averages actually have Republicans winning Texas by 8 percentage points. And that's a fact. 8%, according to polls. Average polls suggest 8% for whoever the Republican nominee is. So, I think Texas will be likely for Nikki Haley. And then Florida, I think, will also be likely. This is pretty much a lost cause for Democrats. I don't think Joe Biden will be competitive at all in Florida. In fact, Hillary Clinton did better than Joe Biden in Florida. So with that being said, Florida's a lost cause. Val Demings ran for the Senate. She got destroyed by Marco Rubio. And speaking about getting destroyed, Charlie Crist got completely wrecked by Ron DeSantis in the governor's race for Florida. So Florida has shifted away from the Democratic Party. They abandoned the Democratic Party, and Florida is now a soon-to-be a Republican safe state, if not already a solid Republican state. So Florida will not be competitive at all in 2024, and it will be likely to safe. You could argue it's safe, but I'll leave it as likely for now because the candidate is Nikki Haley and not Ron DeSantis, so it will be likely instead of safe. But it does not matter. Likely and safe, it does not matter. Joe Biden will not come close to winning the state of Florida in 2024. They will vote Republican once again. And I don't think they will turn back to the Democratic Party in a long time, maybe in a couple decades from now. So, that is 2 likely states for Nikki Haley. And so, to get the districts out of the way, we have 2 districts to fill out. Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, I think Biden will win that by a tilt margin of around 1 to 2 percentage points. And then, as far as the other district up in Maine, I think Maine's 2nd Congressional District will vote Nikki Haley by around 7%, which is a likely margin. So, just to get those 2 districts out of the way. And now, a leading state for Joe Biden, I think, will be Virginia. I think Nikki Haley will perform well. I do think Nikki Haley will, in fact, perform very well in Virginia. She will make it very interesting. She will make it very close. And she might come close to pulling off the state of Virginia, but I just don't see that happening. I still think in a Biden-Haley scenario, I think Biden still holds on to the state of Virginia, but I think the margin will be very more narrow than 2020. Obviously, Biden's not going to win Virginia by double digits like he did in 2020. I think maybe 4 to 5% if he ends up going against Nikki Haley. So yeah, Virginia will be lean for Joe Biden. I think Nikki Haley can make it very interesting. She will make things very interesting in Virginia. So Joe Biden will not win Virginia by a comfortable margin. Not going to happen especially if he goes up against Nikki Haley. Yeah, Virginia will be very close. So keep an eye on that. If Nikki Haley does wind up being the Republican nominee. And then another lean state for Joe Biden, I think, will be the state of Minnesota. I think Minnesota will be lean. I think Nikki Haley can do some well, I guess, in Minnesota. I think maybe in the suburbs of Minnesota, Nikki Haley will perform very strongly compared to Donald Trump. And I still think Biden wins the state of Minnesota if he does end up facing Haley by around 3 percentage points. If he ends up going against Donald Trump, I think Biden will win it by more than 3. But if he ends up going against Haley, I think he'll win it by 3%. She will keep things very close. I think she can be she'll perform very strongly in the Minnesota suburbs. And obviously Minneapolis, the cities, will vote very in favor of Joe Biden to the left. And then another lean state for the first lean state for Nikki Haley will be this state of North Carolina. She is from the Carolinas. I know she's from South Carolina, not North, but I think that she can find some common ground in North Carolina, and she'll win it very easily by around maybe 4 to 5 percentage points. So yeah, if this is a Haley versus Biden scenario matchup, I think Nikki Haley wins North Carolina by a lean margin of around 4 to 5 percentage points. I think she will perform very strongly in North Carolina, and she is very popular. Nikki Haley is very popular among these areas of the Carolinas. So this is where Nikki Haley performs very strong, and I
really want to see who he's gonna give the victory to. That's why I keep watching the video. It's an interesting one, very interesting. I'll put the link to his channel in the description so you can go check out his other videos.
It's going to be in North Carolina, especially in Georgia as well. I think Georgia will also be lean for Nikki Haley, same with North Carolina. I think those states will be lean for Nikki Haley. I think Nikki Haley, I think Brian Kemp, obviously, I think can help carry Nikki Haley to a victory. If Brian Kemp and Nikki Haley have good relations, which I think pretty much they do, Brian Kemp can help, because obviously Brian Kemp defeated Stacey Abrams by 7 percentage points. So if the Brian Kemp supporters who voted for Kemp in the 2022 midterms overwhelmingly supported him, if they can switch over to Haley, I think it will help her. And I think the 2020 election was a fluke election. I really think it was a fluke. I don't think Biden will win Georgia again, whether it's Donald Trump or not. I just don't see Biden winning Georgia again, and especially if Haley's the candidate, she will win that very comfortably. So yes, Georgia, +5 for Nikki Haley, in my opinion. States, and that'll be for Joe Biden. I think New Hampshire will be lean. You can argue that's tilt. Actually, I might fill in tilt. Actually, I think New Hampshire will be tilt. For Joe Biden, maybe he'll win it by around 2 to 3 percentage points. I think 2 to 3%, 2% if he ends up going against Haley. And I think Haley will outperform Trump in New Hampshire. Hear me out. I think Nikki Haley will do better. She will overperform Trump in New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire voters will obviously prefer Haley than Trump. She is moderate on issues like abortion, so as long as she keeps her moderate stance on abortion very moderately, I think Nikki Haley can do very well in a state like New Hampshire rather than Trump. I think Trump does worse in New Hampshire. I think Nikki Haley does way better in New Hampshire. And obviously, out of these three candidates, Trump, DeSantis, and Nikki Haley, obviously I think Ron DeSantis does the worst in New Hampshire. He has very restrictive abortion stances, so New Hampshire's not going to like that, and they're very overwhelmingly going to reject Ron DeSantis. So as long as Haley is the nominee, I think she has the best shot at flipping a state like New Hampshire, unlike Trump or DeSantis. So if Biden ends up facing Haley, I think things can get very scary close in New Hampshire, and she may end up getting close, though. Biden's going to win that by around 2 percentage points. Tilt for him, tilt margin. And then another tilt state for Joe Biden will be the state of Michigan. I think Michigan will be tilt for Joe Biden. I still think he will win it no matter who is the nominee. This is a state where Trump won in 2016, but obviously this is a prediction of if Trump was disqualified, which would have Nikki Haley as the nominee. So if Nikki Haley were to be the nominee, I think she will make things very close in Michigan, but I don't know. She's not proven. She's not a proven winner in the Rust Belt like Donald Trump is. Donald Trump actually performs very well in the Rust Belt, unlike Haley. So she's not proven. I don't know if she can perform well in the Rust Belt. If she can get the blue collar, working class voters on her side, maybe she can pull off a state like Michigan. But I don't see it. And now another tilt state that I think Biden can win against Haley in 2024 will be Pennsylvania. I think Nikki Haley can get very close to winning a state like Pennsylvania, but like I just mentioned, similar to Michigan, two Rust Belt states, very similar. I think they will vote very similarly. Both Michigan and Pennsylvania voted one way in 2016. They voted one way in 2020 again. Both Michigan and Pennsylvania voted red in 2016, but voted blue in 2020. So obviously, both of those states I think will pair up and vote very similarly. They will vote in one direction. They will vote in the same way, and that's pretty much it. If Michigan voted for Biden in 2024, I think Pennsylvania would do the same thing. If Pennsylvania voted for Haley in 2024, I think Michigan would do the same thing. I think these two states would do pretty much the same thing. So obviously, I have Michigan going for Joe Biden. Same goes for Pennsylvania. She's not a proven winner when it comes to the Rust Belt. She is not a Rust Belt type candidate. I don't think she will. She's not that much of a strong candidate when it comes to the Rust Belt. Obviously, the blue-collar, hard working-class voters was the reason why Joe Biden won the Rust Belt states in 2020, and I don't know if they'll break for him again in 2024, considering his popularity is just so trash. I hate to say it. But then another state, Wisconsin, the last and final Rust Belt state. I also do think Joe Biden will win that state, putting him at 270 electoral votes. I think these states will be very close. I think Nikki Haley can come very close to winning them, but will she? That's a different story. I don't know if she can. She's not proven. She might not perform that well in the Rust Belt. I think she can perform well in states like New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Georgia, and even Arizona, but when it comes to the Rust Belt, I don't think so. And then two last and final remaining states, Nevada and Arizona. Both of those, I think Nikki Haley can actually win. I think Nikki Haley will flip the state of Nevada as well as Arizona. I think Nikki Haley will perform very well in Arizona. Arizona, I think, is the second most state that has the most independent voters besides, I believe, Maine. So Arizona is, in fact, the second state that has the most independent voters that vote in elections. Independents make up a huge voting block voter group in the state of Arizona. So if the independents can break for Nikki Haley, I think Biden will lose the state of Arizona, and I think Nikki Haley can perform very well in Arizona, giving her the victory in the state of Arizona. So yes, in this matchup scenario specifically, I do think Nikki Haley will win Arizona and as well as Nevada. Nevada, has been slowly shifting away from the Democratic Party. Obviously, they still voted for Biden. They still voted for Clinton. They still voted for Obama.
But basically, he's saying Joe Biden is going to win. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is going to win. I'd like to see him do like DeSantis and Joe Biden. I'd like to see that. I feel like if he does that, Joe Biden is still going to win. But it's going to be a whole different DeSantis. If you notice during when the map he had shown, the graph he had shown previously, let's see if we can take it back. He showed exactly this one. So if you see how DeSantis started, right? He was almost neck and neck with Trump, almost. But then he started declining. I think this was the point where he announced his candidateship. That's the word. But, at some point he started declining. And towards the debates, people said he did poorly in the debates and had nothing to say. But I feel like the reason was because he's giving way for Trump. But if Trump is not here anymore, these numbers, because these people here that supported him from the start, they are still alive. They did not die. What might happen is these people would think, oh, Trump is not here anymore. Okay, DeSantis then. And DeSantis now is going to get in his bag and become a politician. Right now, he's not really politicking. But when he wants to become a politician, I feel like he can do it. And it's going to be a whole different DeSantis. And he's going to take over from Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. Nobody else can stand it. Chris Christie won't even be in the race. Anyways, let me know what you think. Feel free to share your own opinion. Everything is speculative, obviously, because we don't know anything for sure. But if you want to share yours, if you have a different idea and you want to share, talk to us. It might be interesting, and I'll be happy to read yours. This is the end of this video. Share your thoughts, smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.